there's a town named Prince George, in Maryland. And they have one woman in that town, a mother and a daughter who died in a house. And a stranger broke into their daughter's room. And her name is Carissa. And her bedroom window was open. And someone came in and broke in. Technically, it wasn't really breaking in because the window was open, and he shot the daughter in the head. And he found the mom. And he shot the mother as well. But he didn't steal anything. He didn't take money or valuable items or anything. And the mother who passed away, her name was Karen. The individual left, and someone found the house with 2 dead bodies in there. So the cops went in to investigate. And it was very clean. Didn't seem like there was any struggles or mess, or there was nothing stolen. There were just 2 dead bodies there. Oh, and each individual had 1 bullet in their body, and that was it. Well, no one knew the reason. No one knew how it happened. But the mother, Karen, her daughter's name is Keon. Oh, the son's name was Keon. And they informed the son that the daughter and that his sister and his mother had passed away, and he was brokenhearted. And they brought him in to interview him. Thought he was guilty. He said, "No, I have no interest in killing anyone. I love them. I have a close relationship with my sister and mother." But it still seemed kind of mischievous, so they asked him some more questions. Realized that he wasn't there at the time and he was at his girlfriend's house. So they let him go. They didn't arrest him. About 2 months later, and remember, Karen and Carissa died in that house. In that same area, just across the street. They found a car that had been burned. And it was a vacant house. This burned car was just parked at this vacant house. So the police and detectives kind of went in the house and realized no one lived there. It was empty. Looked around and found 2 bodies in the house. And the name of the mother's name was Delore, and her daughter's name was Ebony. So they were looking, and they realized that the house was just right down the street, right across the street in the same area. That once again, nothing was stolen, nothing was broken. It was just very, very clean deaths. And they still didn't know why. And the police had no evidence between the 2 houses. So they became frustrated because they realized nothing was stolen. If they found something that was stolen, they could easily catch them. But there was nothing that was been stolen. TV, all of the very valuable things were still there, which was really strange. There was one house that was close to Washington, D.C., and 2 men broke into it. And the man fought him, and they ran. But they had a mask. You couldn't see their face. There was no way to identify that individual. They couldn't fingerprint him. There was no evidence. So for a few months later, there was a man named Marcus Hunter. So they grabbed this man, Marcus, and his record was clean. He didn't expect anything, but they started to ask him some questions, and he admitted, yeah, I was involved in that. Wasn't involved in the shooting. 'Cause I really have no reason to want to kill someone. I would only go in to steal things. And they said, who were you with? And I was with Jason Scott. So the detective said, fine, grab Jason Scott and asked him where he works. UPS. Loretto, in Maryland, a city in Maryland. He said that's where he went. And his background was fine. He had no trouble. Although there was one thing that kind of seemed strange. He denied everything. He denied every relationship with that individual, the gentleman who mentioned him before. And they caught and found one woman with a camera. Jason had a mask on his head. But it did show his eyes. And it was obvious. They were able to identify that Jason Scott was the man who was guilty. The fact that he denied all the relationships, they had evidence that he had bothered the woman. They had it recorded. Finally, they grabbed him there. They took him to court. It was about September 23rd. Jason Scott, he's about 30 years old, which means now he'd be about 32. So the court told him that he was guilty. He had 2 accounts for first-degree murder. Found him guilty. Oh, Marcus. Yes, Marcus Hunter. He had more of a relationship with the detective and admitted that he was involved, but he wasn't the killer. He wasn't the murderer. And Jason was the only one who did the killing. So they found Marcus innocent. And recently, 2 weeks ago, Dateline on TV, the TV show Dateline. I just recently watched it about 2 weeks ago. 5.7 million people watched that. And it made me think about that. How are we going to protect our community? That man's name is Jason Scott. He lives in the same town where the 2 mothers and daughters passed away. In that same town. He lived right next to them in the same area. Isn't that kind of scary? Well, thank you for watching.